actual in their time or during their time on earth is because they pay homage to their ancestors, and they would like to be good ancestors as well. So I'm wondering this morning, those of you who are listening to us who are probably in your 60s, 70s, and 80s, right? Do you think you've done well enough for you to be remembered? 8 billion of us. How many people will remember you? Now, let's get straight to our conversations this lovely Thursday morning. Well, if someone stops paying their rent or the neighbors start to complain about the noise or antisocial behavior, you may just be having a bad tenant. Now, on the flip side, interestingly, some problems take a little longer to detect. For example, if you are one of those landlords who's listening to us right now and your tenant is subletting part of your property or all, what is subletting? So the man comes, hey brother, I want to rent your 2-bedroom. You say, okay, it is 500,000 there. He pays you, all right? And then you go your way, no problems. But after maybe 2 or 3 months, you notice that like 2 other people in the house. He tells you that these are his cousins or his brothers or even his sister's daughters. But he's there, they are there. But after a while, maybe one day whilst you and your friends are, sitting somewhere having a bottle and sipping, nicely, and then putting your hand in that bowl where there's very red sauced bole and fish. And then one of the people you'll be saying, that's true, that guy went just past. Nah, that guy tenant, they pay the girl like 150. And you're like, what? You didn't know? Yeah. So yes. These are some of the challenges, right, that come with having your place on rent or on lease to somebody. So this morning, we're going to be focusing on bad tenants. Remember yesterday I had a conversation, it was just on my mind, I brought it on Jude's Corner. But today, this morning, openings we are going to dedicate, all right, the next 40 plus minutes on this conversation. Now, my first question, I have a few questions. My first question is, right, what are the do's and don'ts? Let me say that again. What are the do's and don'ts? That is what I think you should do and you shouldn't do as a good tenant. First part of the question. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to find out how terrible some of you have been and how absolutely wonderful some of you have been as tenants.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeriainfo FM. Nigeriainfo, let's talk. With Jude on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
So 017-923-0002, 017-923-0007. Once again, 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0002. At Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH is where you'll find us on Facebook and on X, at Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH. Now, WhatsApp and Telegram, you can send us a message to those platforms. Only messages, please. The number is 0809-030-6416, 0809-030-6416. 0809-030-6416. Once again, my first question, I have a few questions, but we'll start off with the first one this morning, talking about bad tenants, not landlords. Now, I think a lot has been said and hammered over the years about bad landlords, but some of you are actually very terrible tenants. Maybe even Jude is one of them. I keep asking myself these questions. Whenever we are on air, we're having conversations. I keep asking, am I guilty as well? I should look very closely at myself. Anyway, let's get to the phone lines now, shall we? As always, please turn down the volume of your radio set. Refrain from making derogatory or defamatory comments. If you didn't see or hear, please do not make mention of it. And very importantly, please let your conversations be civil, please. All right, we don't want to have anybody throwing hurtful words or comments or insinuating comments at each other. All right, please, let's do that, shall we? Okay, good. All right, let's get onto the phone line. 923, good morning.
Yeah, you do.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, you, Suma Momodu.
Welcome, Suma. Welcome. Good morning to you.
Yes, so you see, I remember those days in 70s.
Ooh.
When my father, he had a lot of local stuff in the place I come from, Auchi.
Oh. Okay.
Do you know that this something of say 1 year, 60 months, it was not there, and I grew up to the extent that my father, whenever he goes to anywhere he goes to, he will come at the month end. He will now bring the receipt. Give me my money. You understand? Then about this landlord of a thing, I don't know what it is, great or whatever it is. They were supposed to be collecting their rent bit by bit.
Okay.
So that in a peradventure, the man will not be able to pay. You tell us, oh, God, back from us, make I put another person. But at the end of the day, you go collect that 1.6 million, 350,000, another that, which we eat even within the period. I remember my father was telling us that time they owe 2 months rent. Go with them. When I come back from the secondary school, you go collect your money from him. And the money, the man will give it to me. But now, greediness. Okay, imagine a situation whereby he has to do it in 80s or in 90s or in 2000. You will come and tell me 2-bedroom flat, 500,000.
It's actually 1 million.
Is it not greed?
Well, times have changed.
The tenants are preparing them because of what they have done. Thank you.
So it's the landlord's fault that some tenants are bad. Muriel is now quicker. Muriel, what are some of the do's and don'ts for a good tenant, please?
Jude, I think before you want to renovate your apartment, you should tell your landlord. You know, even though you want to do it with your money, you don't want to wait for that house belongs to someone. Whatever you want to do, please tell him.
Okay.
You have a shop, but even if you want to, some persons may want to change the pattern of a particular house, to their taste. Maybe they want to screen, they want to put POP, to their taste. If for cash, you want to do it, but tell your landlord. And if he says yes, go ahead, fine. Some landlords, they are very, there's a way, especially an old landlord that has built his house in a certain way and he wants it that way. This is his taste. And if he says no, please leave it. If you want to pack out, you can't cope with the pattern of the house, it's not for your taste, then move out. Allow the man, let him keep his house the way he wants it. Not everybody wants change, especially the elderly. But for me, remembering a tenant, a bad tenant, look, you have had the experience. This tenant installed, he abused me, he abused me and my mom, he abused us, he abused. If you see, he plugged a lot of condoms, a lot of, so many of that. This particular one I mentioned, so many plugged the kitchen hole and water began to flood in his head. This is a terror, This is a terrible tenant. When he left, this is the same thing I talk about that we want to replace everything for the young lady. And this is the reason why some people are not taking single people. If you take there are some that are very difficult. So single guys and fair lady, they use your house
Okay. All right, Mira, thank you. Let's go for a break, please.
For more talk, news and sports, stay tuned to Nigeria Info.
We'll be right back after this.
Yeah, this morning we are having a conversation about bad tenants. Oh yes, bad tenants. And interesting thing, when we make mention of tenants, we're not just referring to individuals or their families. We're also making references to businesses. So some people have leased their shops, their office spaces to certain companies, to certain organizations, or businesses, and they have had the worst for wear when the time of those leases have expired. So the question is, first and foremost, what are the do's and don'ts of a good tenant? As a good tenant, what should you do, and what are some of the things that you shouldn't do? I'd like for you to call in and share with us. And then, this is I would like to say maybe the more important one is this. As a tenant, what is the first call, or what's the first reaction or your first response when something goes wrong within your premises? I'm just curious. What's the first thing that I do? Now I use myself as an example. So if the pipes where I'm at, right, goes bad, right, I usually just call a plumber. Hey, come fix it, because I'm in this space. Now whether the pipe was destroyed or went bad out of my own use, more often those kind of things, it's not necessarily your use. It's maybe age. Those things are kind of old. Plastics will wear. Heaven help you if you're in a house that has a lot of metal pipes. They'd rust. They start to leak. All right, fine. Sometimes I would call and say, I've fixed him. Who will call the landlord, right, when their sink is blocked? hey, landlords, it's not flushing. Please, can you call somebody, right? And then when the plumber comes and identifies the reason for that blockage, because sometimes the reason may not be from that tenant, it may be from somewhere else, and when they find out that it's their problem, they start to stonewall the landlord. So, I don't know. Is it that? I'm trying to wrap my head around this. It can be very disturbing. I have this very weird brain. So, something I think I can do and I should do, I don't have a problem doing it. But it seems as though some people don't. Anyway, to call in 017-923-0002, 0817923-0007, 0817923-0002, 0817923-0007. At Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH is where you'll find us on Facebook and on X at Nigeriainfo PH.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeria Info FM. Nigeria Info, let's talk.
With Jude on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Oh, we have Namdi on the line. Namdi is speaking to us from GRA. Namdi, good morning to you, please. Hello, Namdi. Hello, Namdi, good morning. Oh, dear. Hello, Namdi, can you hear us, please? Good morning. Oh, dear. All right, Namdi, I don't know if you're still tuned into the radio. Oh, dear. There's a disconnect. Namdi, if you can, please do return the call. I'd love to get to hear from you this morning. But let's quickly get to WhatsApp. All right, WhatsApp is 0809-030-6416. 0809-030-6416. Good morning, bro. I don't think that it's neither a bad tenant nor a bad landlord, but events and situations leads to such labeling. Now, imagine someone who rents an apartment, 2-bedroom flat, at the cost of 450,000 naira. After a year or two, the landlord decides to increase that rent to 800,000. How would the tenant cope? Maybe on entering the house, he spends so much in upgrading the house. How will he feel or react? Now, I think the adjective bad tenant will manifest because the person could not afford and will sublet one room to someone else to make up the rent. Times are hard and everyone's trying to survive using suitable strategy. I plead the landlords should reconsider their would-be tenants and not arbitrarily increase house rents. They should know that some tenants which they see in their houses can render help to them and their children if they live happily, most likely in the future. Remember, the tenants will not live in your house forever. That's from Teke. Namdi's on the line. Namdi, good morning to you, please.
Good morning.
Good morning, Namdi. Thank you for calling.
Okay, my name is Namdi. My name is Surveyor. I called yesterday.
Oh,
you are going to do this program.
Yes. Good morning. Thank you very much for your time, please.
Yeah. Okay, see, I think things are good to be designed from the onset. Right, I think why most people have issues in properties of difficult tenants and stuff like that is when they try to do it themselves. You are not an engineer. You want to do the house, it will crack. That is where if you see a recalcitrant tenant from the onset, you will know when you are screening the tenant. And this thing can only be detected by somebody who is an expert in the industry. Now, in the type of repairs, like you mentioned, that is where the expert also comes in, that even before somebody goes into your property, you tell him that the internal repairs, anything that has to do with internal repairs, plumbing, the faucet or whatever, is the responsibility of the tenant. And whatever that has to do with external repairs are the responsibility of the landlord. Now, you also cited something about the pipes inside that are rusty. Those ones, I don't think it could be a joint something, because you are going to crack the wall. The tenant has no right to crack the landlord's wall. There's what we call wear and tear, whereby those rods are getting bad. It's the responsibility of the landlord to take care of them. Now, what defines a bad tenant? There are so many of them. A bad tenant will not live in harmony with other tenants. Maybe they don't even pay security fee, evacuation of stock away. Some of them even go as far as bypassing your meter. Then when it comes to payment of rent, they pay staggered payment. At times they don't even pay on time. So it's something that discourages a lot of investors to invest in real estate. But I think that what causes it all is to hand your property over to somebody that is an expert, and you run away from those assholes. That's my opinion, though.
Okay, all right, Namdi, thank you very much. Now, before I let you go, now you made mention, when of the piping scenario that I gave, and you said, okay, maybe in that kind of situation it can be joint. Why should it be joint if, like you said, it's wear and tear? It's no fault of the tenant, it's wear and tear.
Like I said, it's the landlord's responsibility. But then there are some good tenants who tell you when you bring a plumber to the house and the plumber says, I will need to cut this pipe. And the penalty is like something that will cost 5,000 or 10,000. All this has to do with personality. The tenant will say, this landlord has been a good landlord to me. It's a landlord's responsibility because you have to tear the wall. Some good tenants will just bear the cost and move on because they don't want any delay or whatever. But it's landlord's responsibility when it comes to tearing of walls and there are pipes that is inside that is bad.
Okay. All right. Namdi, thank you very much for your time. Very appreciative of you this morning. I hope you have a good day, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Namdi from GRA. All right. Let's get on. WhatsApp here, 009-030-6416, 009-030-6416. We're talking about bad tenants. I've asked 2 questions this morning. What are the do's and don'ts of a good tenant? What are the things that you expect, a good tenant to do? You, as a good tenant, what do you expect of yourself? What do you think your managers, the landlords, or the estate management board is expecting of you? What are you expecting of them? Good morning, Jude. Now, in the compound where I live, we the tenants pay an extra 10,000 naira utility fee aside the rental. So when our septic tank gets filled or our borehole is faulty, who is supposed to fix it? Remember, we pay the extra 10,000 utility fee for any possible repairs because that's the challenge we're facing right now. That's from an anonymous text. Somebody who's listening to us sent us this message anonymously. Let me repeat once again. All right. In the compound where I live, this is a message that just came through. We, the tenants, pay an extra 10,000 naira utility fee aside the rent. So when our septic tank gets filled or our borehole is faulty, who is supposed to fix it? Remember, we pay the extra 10,000 naira for any possible repairs because that's the challenge we're facing now. Anybody wants to help us with this one? I wish this message had come in when Namdi was on the line. What do you think? After paying the, utility fees and everything, something major, such as the borehole or the septic tank, which is a utility that everybody must use, and if everybody has contributed, what exactly is the money used for? Something has gone bad. In this case, let's say it is let's say it's the borehole, right? Because everybody needs to fetch water, to have a shower, wash your clothes, and yada yada yada, cook your food. Let's say it is the borehole. Who's meant to fix it? In this case, after they paid for utility, it's not like they did not pay. Oh, Namdi's on the line. Okay, great. They've paid. Namdi, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
I don't know if you just listened to the question I was sent in just now.
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. So what say you, please?
Okay. In that scenario, it's still the same thing. You paid 10,000. Was it defined what the 10,000 is meant for?
Yes, they said for utility. They said for utility fees. They said for utility fees. That's what he said.
That's what I'm saying. When you say utility now, this utility fee you are talking about could be that the property has a security booth or it has outside lighting in which the property manager uses this same money to recharge, prepared, and the rest. Because if the property manager now is bringing in the part of disposing of sock away, you cannot It's not a serviced apartment. They call it utility, but not serviced apartment. Now, it's the responsibility of the tenants too. Then another thing is that landlord and tenant thing is a relationship. They can call their property manager, okay, we paid you this 10,000. How much have you spent? Can this money that we paid from it, can it also get evacuate this sock away for us? But when it comes to sock away, it's good that tenants knows that it's their sole responsibility, unless the 10,000 was defined that it's going to be among the things that it will dare.
Okay.
I think what I'm saying is clear.
Yes. I understand it. I hope they do as well. All right. Namdi, thank you very much. All right. At Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. I'm getting there right now. At Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. We're talking about bad tenants. Ooh, I just had a very cold. The cold feeling just come over me right now. Okay, all right. Back to WhatsApp. All right, I'll get to Facebook. Okay, all right. The system has just popped up. All right, I think it was a reboot of the page, reloading of the page. All right. So at Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. What are the do's and don'ts of a good tenant? That's what we're talking about this morning. So that anonymous person says, we take up everything ourselves, including security fee, and we dispose our waste. So in this case, I think, you and the landlord should actually have a tete-a-tete, sit down, iron things out like adults that I like to assume you all are. Yeah. Let's not devolve to fiscal, because whatever the challenge is, it's obviously making your stay in that place uncomfortable. Good morning. One of the signs of a bad tenant is if other people in that area don't like that person. And no, I'm not talking about those who will not just greet you or who say your mouth is smelling, for example, but you seem to always leave a bad taste wherever you go. We used to have a tenant who I used to quarrel with everybody on the street. Nobody was spared. Whether you greet or you don't greet, whether you stay in your lane or you don't stay in your lane, this man had the ability to insult and annoy every single person. Eventually, all of us on the street had to call the owner of the compound and ask him to give that tenant a quick notice. Trust me, Jude, you do not want to have that kind of experience. How do you do that? So, well, and I'm not a doctor, all right, and I'm not trying to, as it were, make a diagnosis. But was that person normal? How do you get to the point where, and I don't doubt the story, how do you get to the point where a lot of people in an area, like say on the street, don't like you? Two things. It's either you are doing the right thing or you are doing the wrong thing. Yeah. It's either, for example, if the person, doesn't buy a meter, it's a person. Morning. Are you a good tenant?
Well, I am going to be talking from the both
sides.
I am both a tenant,
okay,
and a landlord. So
okay.
I think that gives me a clear understanding of what these things are. The truth is this: there are human beings who cannot cohabit with others, no matter what you do. The young man just cited a case now about utility bill, and then 10,000. Yes, some people are not professional enough to be able to define what, because you look at it, 10,000 for utility bill for 1 year. What kind of utility bill can that take care of?
Okay, that's the point. That's that's. But what if it's monthly? What if the 10,000 is monthly?
I doubt. Ask the guy. I doubt. If it is monthly, I doubt. If you ask him, he will tell you. So basically, in terms of there are tenants that are very, very difficult. Very difficult. I had a situation which I think might help. I have blocks, some flats somewhere, and upon admission of tenants, they had what is called service charge.
Okay.
And this service charge is annually. And this annual service charge was calculated to be some services specified, including the security fee, including the charging of the sumo and security lights, and also to dispose waste. Now, this was what was agreed, and they paid. As they were coming in, they didn't have any issue paying. But the rent was collected for 2 years. So after 1 year, the service charge has to be renewed. And it now got to the point where the security man's salary must have to be increased. Because that's what I do in all of my properties. Since I've gotten back, you started with 10, so we'll make a review and increase. And so to that effect, this service charge also was reviewed upwards. And it became a problem. The same thing is that in trying to recharge, they now suggested that, okay, in that case, let us manage those things ourselves. Me being not maybe too experienced, I obliged them because I didn't see anything there. Okay, do it. Do you know that they will owe security for 3 months?
Wow.
And not pay? It will be somebody's turn to recharge the sumo. The person will not be around to recharge it. And you understand all of those problems until I finally used my lawyer to take the whole thing up and then enforced that they pay, and they did. And the place came back to normalcy. You have tenants who will leave their tap on for 3 days.
That's terrible.
Yes. You have them. They are there. They leave it on. Like maybe they open the tap and the water is not running.
And they forget.
They leave it on and maybe travel and go out. And by the time they come back, the water has filled the sock away.
Yeah,
so these are the challenges you see. People do not know how to live. They don't know how to live. So when you say this, it sounds like I understand that there are very difficult landlords, which, are professional landlords perhaps, who live with those things. But if you're not, you have something doing, you just want a smooth sailing compound to go. These laws have to be in place, and it has to be. So I think for one of your callers that said the best thing is to hand over to that's the truth. If you don't know how to run this thing, because when they have strict law, some landlords even admit tenants without a lawyer giving them a contract. So it's a difficult thing here, but trust me, people really need to do better. In terms of the guy who just said that, one person, truly you said 2 things can happen. He might be a terrible person, but at the same time too, he might be a very lawful person. A lot of people are not lawful.
Yeah.
So if you seem to be saying it's what we need to do, clean up the street. Well, where I live now, like a mini estate where I live, it's no a street, but it's like a mini estate. We do sanitations. We come out, we wash the gutters. I knew what it took us to get people to comply to that. Come out, the gutters, new road, a road that was just has been constructed, nice road. We clean it up, we sweep it, and almost every street around here now has taken to that. They have taken to that. They are doing that now. They see it as a good thing. So I think that is our living standard, really. Let me not take much of your time.
All right. Thank you very much, Ernest from Elera Power this morning. All right, do's and don'ts. The messages are coming through. This one says, good morning, Jew. Let's start here. First things first, a lot of the agreements that some of these landlords actually give their tenants to sign are actually criminal. Ooh, criminal. you ask the landlords why they do this. They say for XYZ reasons. But for me, I just think it's their way of not taking responsibility for their building. If you were a taxi driver, would you pass on every single expenses to the passenger? Your ideal business would be for more people to come and use your taxi. How? You make sure your car is clean, you paint, you service, and you change the tire. Is it every time you change the tire that you increase the rate of a taxi fare? No. Many of these landlords are the reason why some of these tenants have been bad to them. Ezekiel. He does have a point there, though. He does have a point. You know, the taxi drivers don't immediately increase the rates when their tires go bad or there's a puncture. I don't spoil tire. I need to buy a new tire for the next 2 days. You know, it's not done that way. It's not done that way. All right. Just received a message here. It's on my personal line. It says, we pay utility bill monthly at my place. It is all clearly defined. Security, waste disposal, and recharging of the meter for the sumo. Anything else would be generally worked out. See? It's clearly defined out there. Drop call scenario. So I think Nandi is right. You know, a lot of these things need to be clearly stated. Whatever monies that are going to be contributed, what is it used for? I once had a friend who stayed in the premises that the landlord, right, in a bid to forestall issues concerning pumping the water, placed a generator. It was his own generator. He placed it in that compound for all the tenants to use. The requirement is the fuel for the running of the generator, they would contribute. So that particular, there's a pumping machine, the Sumo right now, was not connected to public power supply. It doesn't have prepaid meter, nothing. It's just disconnected. So when you want to use it, you start the generator, you connect it, pump, everybody rest. Interestingly, when he did that, the number of complaints, right, reduced. The bills that they pay, because eventually they had to all get their own prepaid meters, right? But before the prepaid meters came, they noticed that the estimated bills that they were receiving on a monthly basis reduced. Because what used to happen was somebody would just come, pump the water, and go to Ilabuchi. No jokes. Just pump the water. So you just see the pumping machine is working sometimes 3 hours, just wasting water. My 2.3, good morning. Hello, Port Harcourt.
Mr. Zion, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Zion. Welcome.
Jude, those countries that their government provide house accommodation for their people, did you hear this kind of discourse among them? Countries that their state governors, local government, federal, we constructed 2,000, 5,000, 20,000, 100,000. Can you hear this kind of discourse among the people? Or this kind of criminal act perpetrated by some landlords? Drink money. I guess you have heard that one.
Yeah, well, we had this is for niceties, you know.
Agreement. I've heard about that one.
When you sign a
lawyer.
contract.
Landlord don't even get lawyer. You go bring paper, make it pay 20,000, send a lawyer. The truth is, I told you here, put it on record, this is a country that breeds crime and criminality. In the morning, they will ask crime, have you eaten? Have you drank water? Get ready. That is who we are. And it's so unfortunate that day in, day out, the people who perpetuate this go and check. Most of them are civil servants. How did they get their money to build a house? They stole the money. They blotted figures in their place of work. Go and check most people that are behaving like this. Most of them inherited this house from their parents. Old houses that are even dead and rotten, whose foundations are also questionable. It will narrow down. If the government will not produce accommodation, as been stated at the social contract theory, that accommodation, which is shelter, is one of the core responsibilities of the government, will keep having this kind of a discourse, which is embarrassing and shameful. The government talk about mortgaging. We have a mortgage bank. Every day I hear them make comment like this. Sir, Normally, this mortgage banking system should give you a privilege as you are working to start building your own
house. Yeah.
So how come they are not working? I want to use this medium to call on Governor Nigeriainfo. Please, sir, Rivers people need 200,000 low-cost housing, not political housing estates, not political. Low-cost housing for the people, and see if this house rents in this area will not drop automatically. All this criminal demand from certain landlords will not stop. Mr. Zion.
All right, Zion, thank you very much. Yeah, he does have a point, though. He does have a point, you know. Some like the message I read, some of these contracts are just outrightly illegal. You know, it's okay. All right. Moving on. Let's wrap up as we read some comments here. We'll go on a break and then get to power update. Good morning, Jude. There's a tenant in my compound. She quarrels with everyone, even the landlord and the landlady. She's like a mini god in the compound, and even the landlady is scared of her. She can talk and do anyhow she wants, and she gets away with it. Young Bill from Port Harcourt. That's the landlady's fault. You know, that's the landlady's fault. Good morning, Jude. So, what do you say if a tenant who says he has to change all the tiles that were installed at his coming for flimsy reasons, asks them to put on the stairway light after dark to keep wall geckos out, but refuses, and another who insists on paying the same amount for 5 years, refusing increments? Some tenants refuse to pay electricity bills promptly. Goodness, yes, we know that. Which is why, you know, I'm a big advocate of people getting the prepaid meter, right? I'm a big advocate, big advocate. You know, get your prepaid meter so that if the person decides he doesn't want to pay power bills this month, it will affect only his household, not everybody. All of us will be good, we'll be chilling, but it will affect only him, just him, and maybe his wife and children. Everybody can rest. As always, thank you for joining us. We'll take a quick break. News comes up your way in just about 2 minutes and 35 seconds.